They had just left the studio after a long, exhausting shoot. Night had fallen, and the studio hallway was almost empty. Katrina's shoes echoed softly on the tiled floor, but Sam walked close enough behind her to feel her own breathing and heartbeat. "That scene, you were so into it," she said, not turning around. Her voice was calm, but the reflection of her eyes in the glass in front of her said otherwise. Sam chuckled softly, but not calmly. "Me too. I'm not sure it was an act anymore." They stopped in front of the private dressing room they shared at the end of the day, for the reason of convenient scene exchange, a reason the crew had grown accustomed to accepting, but no one really believed. Sam touched the doorknob, then looked at her. "Come in?" he asked, his voice low, as if trying to keep something from coming out. Katrina was silent for 2 seconds, a short time, but long enough to decide on a detour. She stepped in first, not looking back. The door closed. The click of the lock was audible over their breathing. The soft yellow light illuminated the large mirror. Katrina removed her earring, but her hands were shaking. Sam moved behind her, barely a touch away. She looked at him through the mirror. "What are we doing, Sam?" He didn't answer right away, just looked straight into her eyes through the glass. For a few seconds, the reflection in the mirror was no longer Jamie and Claire, no longer two actors acting, but two people too used to hiding. Sam reached out and touched her shoulder, lightly, but enough to make her breath catch. "If it was acting," he said softly, "why did I still feel this way when the director said, 'Cut'?" Katrina turned, but her back was pressed against the dressing table, unable to retreat any further. The air between them was thick, like a scene that was never written into the script. "You know, if anyone saw," she began. "They would believe all the rumors for years," Sam interrupted, his eyes never leaving her. "What about you? Are you afraid of that, or of yourself?" Silence. But silence doesn't deny anything, it just reveals. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them again, lowering her voice. "Only when the door is closed will I no longer be able to tell if we're acting or living." Sam smiled, slowly, subdued and intense at the same time. "Then let's keep the door closed." He moved closer. No one said another word. And if anyone outside passed by, they would only see the light through the crack in the door, and never know that inside, the two actors were no longer acting. The normally quiet dressing room suddenly became a space where every breath carried weight. Sam didn't touch her immediately. He stood half a step away, as if he were struggling with himself. Katrina looked at him, her eyes no longer avoiding, but not completely giving up. The moment stretched to a suffocating silence, until she said softly, "If we take one more step, there's no turning back." Sam replied without hesitation, "I never wanted to turn back." His hand touched her waist, lightly but firmly. She didn't push away, just tilted her head slightly, as if wondering if she was still playing Claire or herself. An uncontrollable sigh escaped her lips when Sam whispered right next to her ear, "Tell me if you want to stop." She didn't say anything. That was the answer. They didn't know someone was passing by in the hallway, catching sight of the still-on lights and the faint shadows behind the frosted glass on the door. The person didn't hear anything, but the sight was enough to pique curiosity. The phone was picked up. A blurry photo, capturing Sam standing very close to Katrina, was reflected in the mirror inside the room. A few minutes later, the photo was sent to a small group chat of the crew. But the rumors, as always, never stopped. The next morning, when Sam arrived at the studio, his phone was vibrating continuously. He didn't rush to pick it up. He knew the type. Katrina arrived a little later than usual. She wore sunglasses, her hair tied back, and held her coffee cup high like a shield. No one said anything, but the eyes of a few passers-by were different. A young stylist walked over to hand Sam the script, but the curiosity in her gaze couldn't be hidden. He pretended not to see. And Katrina? She avoided eye contact with everyone except him. During the lunch break, the two met in the empty script reading room. As soon as the door closed, Sam pulled out his phone, a Twitter post with a blurry photo from last night, captioned, "Are they really just acting?" The post had over 5,000 shares in just one morning. Katrina was silent for a few seconds, then looked up. "We're not giving anything away, right?" "Nothing specific. It's just that the distance is too close," Sam said, then looked straight at her. "If they start hooking up, are you scared?" She replied without blinking. "I am scared they're right." The moment was tense. The door to the room opened a crack. A backstage crew member poked his head in, as if by accident, but the glance from Sam's eyes to Katrina's was long enough to suggest speculation. "Sorry, I thought no one was there." The door closed immediately after, but they knew the chance for silence would not last long. Sam stepped closer, his voice low. "We can pretend like nothing happened. But last night, do you think I'll forget?" Katrina turned away, but Sam touched her wrist lightly, forcing her to look at him. "When I kissed you, it wasn't Jamie kissing Claire." She froze, her heart pounding, but before she could speak, her phone buzzed. A message from her manager. "Call me as soon as possible. There's something to discuss about the press." She swallowed, her eyes darkening slightly. "So it's starting," she whispered. Sam didn't panic. He just said softly, "If you want, I'll be the one to take care of it." Katrina smiled slightly, but it was a bitter smile he rarely saw on her. "I can't take care of you, Sam. And you don't want to hide behind anyone. But," she paused, "if what happened last night was true, we can't let anyone else define it." Sam stepped forward, inches from her. His voice was low but dangerously calm. "Then let us define it." In that moment, without touching, without extra words, everything was clearer than all the years they had tried to deny. Out there, the hashtag Sam and Kate began to trend. Fans argued endlessly. Some insisted, "That look can't be an act." Others argued, "They're actors. The whole world is just dreaming." One fan page even compared behind-the-scenes photos from many years ago, asking, "If they're hiding it, when did it start?" A British tabloid ran a big headline. "Intimate moments behind closed doors. Is this the long-standing truth?" In the script reading room, Sam sat across from her, her gaze unafraid. Katrina took off her sunglasses, revealing a tired look in her eyes, but she didn't avoid it anymore. "If they ask, what are you going to say?" Sam asked. She looked at him, then answered slowly. "I won't deny it, but I won't confirm it either. Because sometimes, the most real thing, doesn't need words." Sam smiled, leaned in close, just loud enough for her to hear. "And no need to ask anyone's permission." The door remained closed, and perhaps, from that moment, they would not want to open it again. Sam's phone rang again. This time it was the director. He didn't answer, just looked at the name and turned it off. Katrina caught his gaze, neither blaming nor advising. "They won't let it go," she whispered. "Neither will I," Sam replied, then tilted her head. "And you?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked to the frosted glass door of the room and gently pulled the curtain back, as if by instinct. In that moment, neither of them touched the other, but the silence between them was more intimate than any hug last night. A new notification appeared on the TV screen mounted on the wall in the room. The evening entertainment program was, specially, mentioning them. Photos, analysis, speculation, commentary. Social media had caught fire, and this time, no one could put it out. If everything really blew up, what would happen? She asked, her voice lower than usual. Sam didn't dodge. "I don't know, but I know I don't want to go back to the days when every emotion had to be performed to fit the script." Katrina smiled slightly, not because she was happy, but because she finally couldn't pretend anymore. Outside in the hallway, someone's footsteps stopped in front of the door. A shadowy figure was visible through the light on the floor. A very small whisper, then the sound of a phone turning on its camera. They both looked at each other. No one stepped forward to open the door. No one stepped back. That moment was no longer a question of, if they were discovered, but, what would they let others hear first? The door remained closed, but this time, it was unclear whether it was to keep it a secret, or to let the truth find its way out.